All right, so at this point, you should have your character's body completed. I still need to do a little bit more of mine, but whatever. What we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and model the head. We're going to do this differently than we modeled everything else. What we're going to do is create a Dino Topo model, like a remeshed model, and then we will retopologize over top of it. So basically, it's going to have a crummy tessellated surface, but it'll allow us to work kind of freeform and think about the aesthetics of it, and then be very intentional when we decide to do the topology. So, what I want you to do is just be in the modeling mode, me in object mode, and then we're just going to hit Shift A, and we're going to go to Mesh. And more than likely, what makes sense for you is probably a sphere. So I'm going to choose UV sphere. Um, and that looks fine. Let's go ahead and I know usually, well, we'll just leave it at that. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and we're just going to generally position it. So I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to go, we're going to turn off the other elements of the body so that way they're not in the way and we can just concentrate on the head. So I just turn the visibility off. Um, I'm going to hit G and then Z. We're going to pull it up here. Let's go ahead and put back here, put X-ray on. I'm going to go ahead and hit S to scale, and I'm going to scale it roughly to size there, G and Z, like that. Just make sure you do Z so that it stays symmetrical, so it's right on centered on that line. I'm gonna hold click my middle mouse button, hold Alt as I go to this direction, and look at it here, and G, and this one I can move kind of freeform, and it looks like it needs to be scaled more this way. So I'm gonna do S and Y, so it squeezes it a little bit this way. I'm gonna do S and Z, and squeeze it a little bit that way. All right. So I get a rough approximation that's obviously not, it's pretty wide comparatively. Oh, what the heck? S and X. All right. That's better. So something sort of like that. I'm going to turn this off. Okay. So that is what we're looking at. Before we go into sculpt mode, let's also do this. I'm going to hit tab to go into edit mode, hit A, make sure you have everything. We're going to go to is it edge and no, it's face. It should be edge, but it's face. Shade smooth. And what that's going to do is if I hit tab to go back out, you'll see now it's smooth, it's not faceted. And now go to sculpting. Okay, so the way this is going to work is I will start off with my mouse, and then once I kind of like the way it is, I'm going to switch over to a tablet. If you have a tablet, it's definitely a good thing to kind of utilize for this. Um, all right, so what we want to do is this. We're going to just roughly try to get the shape. So I'll put on X-ray again, and what I'm going to do is down here, so we just have the regular sculpt tool. Down here are a bunch of different tools. The only ones you really need to start with, we'll kind of cover a little bit more of these in depth. If you hover over, you could just try them, and by the description and also using them, you should have it should give you a rough idea of like basically how they work. What I want to do is I'm just going to click to pull this up a little bit. Do I need the ones underneath? Not really. We'll just leave it like that. So I'm going to go to the grab, and F will control my size. Shift F is the strength. So with the grab, you typically want that. Shift F, make sure it's just 100%, so that way it actually does what you want. Before I actually grab this, we're actually going to turn on Symmetry X to make sure that it is moving. Make sure your character is symmetrical on the X. So you can see where the X is. That's the side to side here. If for some reason your model is yours in the different wrong direction, you might have to do Z, but it's supposed to be on X in this case. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab this and I am going to basically just try to manipulate the shape so that it's roughly close. Let's do this and okay, and I'm going to see if I can pull that beak out. All right, like that. So just try to get it to be roughly what your shape looks like. I'm going to hold Alt, go to this view, and I'm going to put wireframe on shaded for now, just so that didn't really help actually. Never mind, I'm going to turn that back off. And I'm going to grab, let's see, this corner here and down there. Come on, in like that. And then I'm just going to kind of look at it and basically just make some adjustments, just looking at it kind of in this 3/4 view. So we'll say something like this. So I'm just clicking and dragging. All right. Now, to smooth, you just hold Shift, and that will smooth. So I'm just going to smooth. Oh, let's undo that. Oops. Never mind. Um, we'll undo that smooth there. Okay. So what you will notice is if I turn this off, and if I put wireframe on, you can see we're just stretching what we already have. So that doesn't work super well because basically what it does is it makes it, it's just stretched out. So what I want to do is just remesh it. So if you go to actually it's in the sculpting things too. It's also, you can get to it in the data properties. There's remesh here, but might as well keep the sculpting tool options up. You can see there's a bunch of options in here. Right now we're just generally trying to make the form, so I'm not super concerned. Right here, I can choose to hit remesh. So if I hit remesh, it's going to remesh it like this. And you can see it'll more or less kind of create this sort of even geometry throughout all of it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and smooth a little and just, again, push it around to try and get the general shape. Okay. So you might need to do something where, like, let's say you're supposed to have horns, right? I might have to do this, hit remesh, and then like, okay, now I can go down like this and get the shape to be, and then you just have to remesh as you're going, and then you'll be able to get the various elements that you need. Okay. Remesh generally works pretty well. We have works pretty well for just this broad shape. But if you find that you need just a little more resolution or a little less resolution, if you hit R, it'll bring up this grid, and this controls the resolution. So basically you can do it by this, or if you just hit R, so I can go like this, and then when I remesh, remesh, you'll see that it will indeed do that. So R, I'm gonna go like this, and then if I hit Control R is actually the hotkey instead of click over here, it will remesh it at that density. Okay, don't get carried away. Do not go really tight because I'll show you why we're gonna do it a different way. But if for some reason what you have isn't quite doing it, you can probably just do that. Okay, so try to generally get it shaped like that. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and use the sculpt tool here. And I might just use the tablet for this. And then with this, oh, I already switched the settings. Okay. It might be good to switch your right click and left click uh, differently. So this one, you will want to adjust the Shift F. If you do 100% strength, it might be too much. Shift F, I'll just do a little less. So basically what I'm going to do is like this. I'm going to hold Shift to smooth. To go in, like for the eyes, you hold Control, and that will go inwards. And then I can just regular click to go like that. He needs to have like kind of a stronger brow. I'm going to have to go down this way a little bit. All right, and then I'm just going to hit Shift. Most of the time when you brush, you typically want to hit smooth afterwards. So I'm just going to kind of go like this for his beak, right? I'm just going to try and more or less fill in the shape here. Make sure you are constantly going around the figure and making sure. So I'm going to hit Control R to remesh so I can just kind of, just so it doesn't get too stretched out. Okay. I'm just trying to generally get the shape of his head correctly. Really, when we look at that other stuff, that the sketches are really just a guide. So don't feel like you have to follow those exactly. I'm just holding Shift and just kind of brushing. You get kind of the idea, right? So I'm just gonna go like this, hold Shift to smooth, like that. Okay, that's it's okay as a start. Looks a little weird, but we're gonna go. Um, let's no, it doesn't work. Let's go to grab, and I'm just gonna F. That's elastic grab. I want regular, and I'm just gonna push this in a little. Okay. So once you've kind of got the shape, mine doesn't look real good. Um, what you're going to want to do is instead of trying to do, like, let's say I want to get a little more detail. Now, we don't want to get too detailed because, to be frank, we're not going to keep this. We're just going to use it as a guide. But that being said, this is kind of hard to see the geometry that I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to the regular sculpt mode here. And I'm going to turn on Dino Topo. And then we'll hit Enable. And what this is going to do is, I'm going to make this smaller, is it will dynamically create geometry wherever we draw. So for example, if I'm going to make this stronger, if I go like this, you're going to notice that it's going to keep making more and more geometry, so it never actually gets stretched out. Okay, now this is particularly useful for what we're doing here because let's see, R. I'm going to make the resolution a little bit tighter. Um, oh, hang on, that got turned off. Enable. Okay, there we go. R, and I'll make it a little bit tighter. Because what I can do now is I can start to put in a little bit more geometry where I couldn't put it in before, to support what we're doing, right? So I'm just going to kind of go like that. This looks terrible. Um, all right, so I'm going to kind of go like that, right? I'm just holding shift after I draw, that kind of thing. Um, you don't have to, I have the wireframe on too. You don't need wireframe on while you're doing this. I'm probably going to remake this because this is really bad. Um, Now, once you do some of this stuff, what you can also do, which is really handy, I use this as I'm kind of working along, is this crease. Let's see, crease sharp. I like crease sharp better. Actually, polish is probably fine. What this is going to do is it will actually draw lines for you. Let's try sharp. Maybe sharp's better. Yeah, we'll go with sharp. So I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller, and I'm just gonna go ahead and turn the wireframe off. We don't really need that anymore. It's good to illustrate what was going on, but not right now. So I want to draw his beak here, right? So I'm gonna smooth this out a little bit first. I'm just holding Shift, and then what I can do is I can draw this, and then use this crease tool to basically kind of dictate, where that line is, and you can get really detailed and really start to kind of. I'm just gonna hold Shift to smooth that in there, and then I'm going to do a crease in here or kind of his brow, right? Like that. And then if I make this even tighter, I can get like really detailed. But the tighter you get, um, like be careful, your computer will start to like struggle. Maybe put like a nostril here, and then I'll just use this one to kind of bring that up a little bit. Um, I need a mouth, so I can use again that crease, and then I can just kind of go from here and bring this across, right? And then kind of go like that. Um, so you can basically start to use this as a way of, obviously it's adding detail. That's kind of what we're doing. But what that's going to do is it's going to make it a little bit easier to see what you're doing. This guy looks like a hand puppet. Um, so let's bring that in a little bit so that way. But yeah, so basically what I want you to do is sort of sculpt out what you want, and you can still go to all the other tools that you were using, um, and then model it from there. Make sure you're looking at it from like all perspectives. Use that shift to smooth, control to go in, and then the various tools. So you see he's a bit like a platypus. Um, okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Make sure you get the shape good before you start trying to do this, because you can see my guy's got doesn't look real great. Um, because I went a little too fast to try and get him to get to the other things to show you. All right. So basically sculpt out your head. Mostly what you're going to need is the regular sculpt tool here, the grab, and probably this crease. Okay. There are other ones as well, like there's like this thing to kind of flatten an area if you need something like that. Inflate's really good because that will like expand an area, which is a little bit different than the regular sculpt. Um, and you can see there's other ones here, like elastic can be useful. All right, so try those things out, and basically just try to sculpt out the face. Like I said, don't get carried away with it though, because we're literally getting rid of it. It's just used as a guide to build the next part.